A long time ago, in a galaxy far away. That's the way most of the Star Trek movies, or at least those in the number series, began. And I'm sure many of you remember that. I've never been a big fan of the Star Trek movies, but have to recognize their impact on our culture from many years ago. Now, George Lucas, the creator of the Star Trek movies, actually said that crawl, which began with these words, was inspired by the old movies of Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, which I think is kind of ironic, but he used it very effectively in his movies. Welcome to one of our videos from St. Mark's Episcopal in Dalton, Georgia, and pleased you're joining with us. In Sunday school at St. Mark's, the last couple of weeks, we've been discussing the Nicene Creed. Now, what some people call the most important document in Christian history, and that's debatable, but certainly makes a point. On May 20th of the year 325, 1700 years ago, last week or so, was the beginning of the Council at Nicaea, which was called by the Roman Emperor Constantine. He wanted to try to attempt at least to get to standardize beliefs in the Christian church. He had just become a Christian a few years before and wanted to get things more organized than they were at that time. And most of us, or many of us anyway, at church recite the Nicene Creed or the Apostles' Creed every week. And often we're guilty of saying the creed without thinking or even agreeing with all the words of the Nicene Creed, and which each phrase we think. But today I'd like us to consider a certain phrase of the Nicene Creed, just to consider this. And that phrase is this. It says, for our sake and for our salvation, remember that, for our sake and for our salvation, he, meaning Jesus, became incarnate from the Virgin Mary and was made man. And continues, for our sake he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. Now, these words are important for several reasons, but first of all, they announce that Jesus was not just the Son of God, as have already been described, but was actually God took human form. God became incarnate, the incarnation in this. And for our sake and for our salvation, and without the incarnation, there would be no salvation for us. Now, further, it continues, says, it mentions Pontius Pilate. Now, it teaches us that Jesus' life and sacrifice and resurrection did not happen just in a long time ago in a far-off galaxy or even once upon a time, as other stories began, but Jesus lived in a specific time and a specific place in history. Jesus was not just a theory or some type of legend or story. Jesus and his life and sacrifice were real. Pontius Pilate was a real person. Jesus' existence is recorded in several Roman histories. So this is not just a legend or a thought, whatever, but Jesus was a real historical person. And Pontius Pilate puts in a place and time that we know existed, all this. So this story of Jesus really happened. It's not something that was just a theory or legend. And because it's something that really happened, then it can help transform our lives even today. And for that, we will say, thanks be to God.